Hey, this is Dennis. Did you see the picture of the elephant with that little steel ball dragging behind it with fear on it? Do you sometimes feel like that? Well, the first thing I want to talk to you about today for a couple seconds is to learn to pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on inside of up here. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And why? Most of us go through our life paying very little attention. But paying attention to why we do things, and then even more important maybe, why we don't do other things that we think we need to do that will move us forward. And usually the answer for most of us is simple. It's fear. And we don't think much about fear, but we need to think more about it. And we need to pay more attention to fear, because fear is our single biggest nemesis. Fact is that we are really not born with a lot of fear. In fact, scientists say we're only born with 3 fears. 3. 1, 2, 3. Fear of loud noises or the startle response, fear of falling, and fear of insurance agents. Okay, well, if you're afraid of insurance agents, that means you had to learn that. So think about this. If there are only really 2 things you're afraid of, everything else that you're concerned about or afraid of had to be learned. That's right. All of your fears are learned. And they're passed on to us by well-meaning people who have had fears passed on to them. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were burning witches at the stake in Salem, Massachusetts. And oftentimes these people were just, they had schizophrenia or some kind of other thing. So, but that fear that was learned and perpetuated caused us to do a lot of terrible things. So fears cause us to stop moving forward, cause us to not be all we can be. Think about this, and I'll talk more about it next week, but suppose you're 2 years old and your parents take you to the zoo, and all day long you're walking along, you see zebras, and you see monkeys, and you see giraffes, and then as you walk around the corner, you see this huge cage with this beautiful black and orange Bengal tiger. And the parents are standing back looking at the tiger, and what does the 2-year-old want to do? The 2-year-old wants to pet the kitty, because the 2-year-old has no perception of fear and Bengal tigers. No correlation there. So it thinks it's just a big kitty. It has to learn to be afraid. As silly as that may sound, it is the same thing for anything in your life. You have to learn to be afraid. Now, some things are good, and we'll talk more about that in the future. I mean, learning to stop at a red light, that's good. But learning not to pick up the phone because you're afraid someone might reject you, that's bad. It doesn't move you forward. So think about that this week. Pay attention to what you're thinking, pay attention to what you're doing, and stop and say, is this a real fear? Did I learn this fear somewhere? And how is it stopping me? Until next time, have a great week.